Good evening, this is Kuro. Got a rank sprint game in my Atlanta. Going over the matchmaking, the enemy team has a Colorado, King George, double Scharnhorst, Atlanta, and a Miyoko. This is a kind of an oddball game, no destroyers. Uh, Usually that's going to involve the team that does the most amount of damage to the enemy team, or to their opposing team is going to win the game. So I'm running in Atlanta, and if you're looking at the mini map, you're probably having a what the hell moment right now. And that's right, I'm not running AFT on the ship. Um, right now, I'm experimenting with ships um, that I think sometimes you're not really getting the most out of the ship at max range running AFT, and instead looking at having a smaller concealment footprint when you're shooting your guns. And gotta say, it's a hoot and a half to play Atlanta like this. It's just this short range shotgun that you just slip in there and you just start cranking out damage. And with your gun range only being 11.1 kilometers, your concealment being 9.6, you don't have far to kite in order to get safe. You've got fast rotating turrets, rapid firing guns. You got a lot of things that lend itself well to this playstyle. So my initial plan is I do not want to be the cruiser that YOLOs right into a cap, uh, because bad things happen when you get pushed by, you got 4 battleships, 2 of them really fast battleships on the enemy team. Uh, just not going to put myself in that predicament. I'm already worried about the Miyoko. Rather than coming out here, being ready to kite away, throwing torps through here, he's bow into the cap, and even worse, he's got an island here, so he's not going to be able to full speed turn out. You already see the spotter plane here. That's telling me, oh hell, this is not going to be good.
Enemy force sighted on the horizon.
And I mean, he's dead. Just like that, we've lost that Miyoko. And that's the difference in, playing like this, where I'm at, where I can, kite away, I can hug the island and stay undetected and just back out if I need to. And, somebody that bows into the cap. He did actually complete that turn, which I actually was surprised he made that turn, but he's lost over half of his HP, and I mean, he's going to be going down here shortly. He's just being pushed too hard, too fast. I kind of hoped that my Nagato, rather than being here, would have been up in here where he would be able to put some pressure on these guys, but it's not going to happen, and the enemy team's just going to keep running the Miyoko down. The good news is I was able to rapidly push into B cap because the entire enemy team's at A, and I am moving into a position where I can see if there's something that I can do once I get this capped. See who I can start laying into, dealing damage. Decide to take a shot at this King George, see if I could get some resets. And unfortunately, the flight time, it's just going to be too long. I don't want to lose a bunch of HP. You can see here with priority target. I got 4 people that were looking at me. And, I mean, you see the effect right here with without AFT. As soon as the target I start shooting at, ducks behind an island or steps out of range, I immediately drop off. And it makes this ship incredibly elusive. You know, this is something that you're going to have to be a skilled player. You're going to have to, you know, be mindful of your concealment, mindful of your positioning. You know, understand and know how to kite, when to go dark. Here we've got Atlanta pushing across here, going to throw some shots out again. And again, you know, you got, you know, this Scharnhorst, 11.5, 11.3 kilometers. He can't actually spot me. That's just how nuts this build gets. Now I'm moving into a position here. I know the enemy teams, um, they're hitting a position where they're kind of stalled out. We've got two battleships here. This Colorado is doing a good job angled out, kiting away, and I want to be able to float and use my positioning against the enemy team. This Colorado is about to drift into my gun range, so I'm just going to hold up here, wait for this Colorado, crank some damage out on him. This whole time I'm just relying on the Nagato and the Colorado keep things lit here, so I know when I need to turn and kite out. Now, shooting over islands like this, a lot of it's experience. I know kind of where to lead the nameplates on the ships, and I'm looking at the mini map, how they're moving, where what direction they're moving, and leading the shots that way. There's other things, pressing the M key, getting a good look. Um, you know, since the ship has torpedoes, look at my torpedo tubes like I'm doing right here. I wanted to check to make sure that that King George wasn't pushing aggressively out. And because he's not, I'm relocating to this angle here where I'm feeling I'm going to be able to get some more shots. And this is what I'm looking at. You know, I got all these guys stacked up in here, and I just want to nibble on these guys. You know, this ship's really good at just nibbling and wearing things down. I don't want to, however, you know, have this big huge blob, you know, come flying around the island right in my face. So uh, I'm gonna mind my P's and Q's, be ready to kite. You look, you know, my bow is pointed in a pretty safe direction. I can just turn away and start moving towards getting safely really quickly if I need to. And, you know, just dishing it out. 11.9, 12 kilometers. He'd be spotting me if I had AFT. I'm undetected here until my target actually comes out around the island. Now I am showing a little too much broadside here. And you can see I'm just going to keep rotating on these targets. This Colorado, he's backing up. It's hard to tell from this angle, but I only got a little piece of him leading him to the front. Again, Miyoko, well, 13. He'd be on 13.1. He wouldn't be spotting me if I had AFT. But you kind of get the picture, just how the the limitations that the enemy team has to meet in order to spot you. Now, this game's a little easier because there's no DDs in it. I'll post another game with DDs in it where I'm doing, you know, pretty much the same thing. And just gonna keep doing what Atlantas do. Just pump out damage. And I love these guns. Gearing guns at tier 7 with IFHE are just they're nice. When you got this many guns able to go nuts. I see, the next victim's coming out here, the King George. I'm accelerating right now to get ahead of steam. I know I'm going to be spotted here, so I want to have a little bit of speed to make sure I can juke. I'm already starting to turn, angle away. King George happens to take a big shot. And just going to keep, working on him. Put the King George down, and again, instantly just dropping off. So now that we've got a one ship advantage, gonna push up and see if there's something I could do. My Nagato, he's kind of in a bind. He's been tanking hard all game. You know, now's the time for me to try to make a move, try to pull some pressure off him. I was trying to see if I could ping the Shorn Horse. The game just wasn't letting me. But that's just kind of a rough situation. Fortunately, they're going to trade out there, so we don't have to worry about that Shorn Horse backcapping B or anything like that. Here I'm just using my concealment, sneaking in here. I want to try to get as much of this island between me and the Scharnhorst as possible before I go and start working on this Miyoko. And I'm just going to put my stern to the Scharnhorst, try to make myself a hard target. The Miyoko's speed juking. He's far enough away that that can be a bit of a bummer trying to lead the guy. He's starting to speed back up. But again, this is having, well, my Nagato's went down at this point, so the intention here was to pull pressure off the Nagato, but he's already down. My Colorado does put down the Miyoko, and now I'm just going to shift target to the only thing left, which is the Scharnhorst. He's looking at the Colorado. Colorado's broadside to him, and it's going to be a bit of a mistake. You can't ignore a ship that's got this level of DPM. Unfortunately for him, I'm angling, I'm kiting away, and his guns, they're just going to struggle to do, keep up with the level of damage that I'm going to pump back out at him. So, this is, first public game that I've posted with Atlanta in this sort of configuration. It's a build that I've enjoyed a lot. I've played Atlanta like this frequently for a couple of years now, off and on, with AFT, without AFT, and it's just it's even better with the current gun bloom mechanics. You've got a lot of flexibility being able to control to be able to control your engagements, control who's able to spot you, who's able to shoot at you, and really can just let you dish out some damage. I mean, this game, 93, 94K, only 8 fires. This was a pretty solid game. I ranked out, finished it off with Atlanta since I was having a good time. And every game was basically at least 90K, and this ship just doing what it does. Anyway, gonna go on ahead and let this game finish out. Go over the end plates. Um, actually did make it up to 96k. Um, high caliber, pretty decent XP for not being able to shoot any destroyers or anything like that. Um, so not a lot of fire damage, just that juicy IFHE on the 127 millimeters going to work. Um, this ship's a lot of fun, and it's something that I don't see too many Atlanta players playing like this. I see a lot of Atlanta players camping islands, and trying to play that sort of play style, running AFT, IFHE, and concealment expert. The issue that I have with that build is that you're giving up one of two things. You're either giving up superintendent, so you've lost your fourth radar. If you're running hydro like me, you lost that fourth hydro. Usually you never really need four hydros, so that's not a huge loss. But there are a lot of games that I will use four radars. Or you also lose demolition expert, which that's 2% fire chance. That's a lot of fire chance for a ship that has as many shells as this ship does and the rate of fire that this ship does. It can really pump out some fire damage on top of um, what it's already doing in pen damage. So I really don't like losing those skills for uh, extending the range on my guns. That really, when you look at it, really cold, the only thing you're really shooting out, beyond 11, 12 kilometers is battleships. Cruisers, unless they're like bow camping or trying to bow tank or something like that, they're usually just too slow for you to be able to, or too quick for you to be able to, land reliable damage on them beyond 11 kilometers. So, and you can forget shooting DDs at that distance. I'm a decent shot with the US 127 millimeters, and you know, much beyond 9, 10 kilometers, it gets sketchy shooting at DDs. Um, they're just too maneuverable, too fast, and they get a pretty good window of opportunity to be able to dodge you or bait you into leading a certain way, and then you know dodging, doing something unpredictable, and just keeping you lit, making you waste your shots, and exposing you to taking damage while you're not really dishing damage out in return. So, kind of rambled on here. Gonna go on ahead do another video on the Atlanta with DDs in the game. This one that game I'm gonna be more holding a flank, um, and trying to deny the enemy team to be able to push in while my team is got a lemming train going through another portion of the map. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game. Really interested in what you guys are thinking with Atlanta, AFT, and in general, um, these ships that have really slow, um, you know, really slow shell travel times. Ships where most of your damage isn't really within that AFT window. Let me know what you think about dropping AFT and playing this sort of play style where you're just kiting out to safety, disengaging, stealthing back up, coming back in for another bite. Um, I'm really interested in seeing what the community thinks about this. So leave some comments. Let me know. I hope you guys are having a good night, and I will talk to you later.